me to listen to me read this letter that I wrote to well, I originally wrote it to the Attorney General's office, and I also sent it to news organizations. I sent it to my senators, my congressmen, NAACP. I joined the ACLU just so I could at least try, maybe get some help. They haven't even, and I've never got anybody on the phone from them. I understand that everybody don't agree with me fighting back against all the stuff that I feel I'm faced against. 'Cause last night I stayed up all night, constantly trying to find something, the right words, what to say, how to get some help. 'Cause I cannot not fight to get my stuff right. It's not in it. I will. First of all, how can I not fight to get my credit straight in order to keep my stuff together? People tell me I'm fighting all y'all. Want me to play defense. These people attacking me. These teabag of terrorists are attacking me. And that's my new word instead of calling them racist or all of them separatists. People can have, you can believe whatever you want. This is America. None of us gotta like each other. I personally get along great with white folks, especially those independent redneck fellas, because they don't want you to step on their toes. Good, don't step on mine. And a real person, they come in all shapes and colors. So I don't have no problems with people. I get along with some of the most redneckiest people in the world. Because, I understand folks. What? What you trying to do, boo?
Creating
I don't know. Anyway, I apologize. You're right. What I mean is, it don't matter who it is. I don't get along with most black folks because I personally think that you're supposed to stand up for each other, not stand up if it don't affect your money. I went to that, they had 2 teabagger rallies here in Nashville in the past, 3 months. I went to 2 of them. The first one was at the Coliseum downtown. What's that called? The straight down Broad Street. Summit Center. And cause everything they were saying, I'm in agreement with. I do not believe our government or any institution or religion should run everybody's life. I was taught from Vera that my ancestors are the reason why I want to act good. Because she told me when I was sitting on her lap as a kid that she'd be watching over me. That she was going to be up there making sure I was taken care of. As long as I became the right a good person. And I believe that. And it's don't come true. Because, let's face it, you can't name too many people that done got hit by a train, thrown 50-some feet from a car, got shot at within 10 feet of each other 8 times and only got hit once straight 3 times. And that dude got met off worse than I did. Because he shot me, I stabbed him. I'm walking. So, to mention my childhood, man. You remember the stuff I used to go through? I mean, half the stuff you didn't even know. I walked down streets when I was a kid, you know, being the only one, and everybody I gotta protect mine. I took ass beatings, but at the same time, I was still able to walk them streets. Because after I took them, I learned how to give them. And even if I couldn't give more than I took, at least they respected that I wasn't messing with nobody, and they would let us pass because we part of this neighborhood. Because I come to their defense just like when I got older, they came to my defense. It's a respect thing. But, Ma, I don't care how loud I gotta talk to these folks. I don't care who I gotta talk to. They not finna keep treating me bad. I'm not finna take it. And I know for the last couple of months, it's been kind of hard to look at what I do with respect, because basically all I'm living off of is an unemployment check. But I see that all the actions I was doing is so that when I do get a better job, because I don't go backwards. None of my resume shows where I go from $3 to $2, $5 to $4. If anything, every time, every step your son makes after he'll sit back and thought, he go from $10 to $15, $15 to $20. So if I was regulating by my life and my achievements by how much money I could or could not make, then I would have made a bunch of different choices. I'd be rich right now. Half of my inventions in my head would have been done, because I would have sacrificed everything for an invention instead of standing up for what I wanted or doing stuff how I wanted. You know, you got on TV, they got this invention here. You know, I did that, Mom. I gave them folks two of my inventions. But when I couldn't keep coming up with the money so that they could keep taking care of my business, well, 2 years later, you get stuff like spree wheels, and I couldn't get my idea back, because basically once you give it to these folks, what happens is if you cannot keep it up, it goes into a trash bin, which any person who works there gets to pick through, and then they can find finances. So if they keep you on the rope, and if they keep you playing the game, then, you know, eventually you run out of money. Same thing out here in these streets. Same thing we got to deal with every day, Mom. And they talking like these teabaggers are the truth. I got up here to read this letter to you, and I got a little sidetracked. I'm hurting, and I'm tired of it. And I will not continue to let these folks mess with me. You know, I've been accused of a whole bunch of stuff in my life. I have no felonies. The worst they could ever catch on me was a bag of weed, Mom. I done got stopped over 200 times. $70 of them is strictly on, you look suspicious. You fit profile. What are you doing in this neighborhood? Okay. You taught me well, you know. I don't go nowhere dirty. I don't mess myself up. I don't do dumb stuff. Well, first of all, because I've been hot my whole life. I can't walk down the street without them wanting to search me. I done got my car. I done got what's this? March, February of last year. By January 6th of last year, I got stopped 4 times before the 6th of January because my tags went out on the 31st. 2 of those times I had to sit in the car. 2 of them times they had to put while I'm sitting in the car, they searching my car. 2 of them times they ride the dog around because I wouldn't let them search my car. They ain't find nothing because I ain't stupid and I ain't finna do nothing stupid. I don't do drugs. Unlike our ex-president George W. Bush, you know. But America got its first junkie president, and they got exactly what a junkie do. So, you know, if we allow these same junkie type folks to take over our country again, know that they have taught me, if not no one else, how to defend my American rights, because they done did everything from bringing guns around our president. I wrote down some stuff. I didn't even want to go into this because I just want to read my letter, because all this, I done sent this to everybody. You know what's done happened? Child support called me saying they didn't know I got married, even though we got married downtown, Justice of the Peace. Even though we turned our paperwork in to what is his name, EBT folks, saying that my family needed some help and we got some food stamps. Man, I ain't finna let my family suffer just out of no pride. I'm just gonna make more money. I'm gonna get myself off of it. But when I need my state, I'm gonna do what I got to feed them little mothers. So, for them to constantly keep blackmailing me, refusing to eat. I mean, this lady gonna tell me it's my fault, and I should have sent her the papers, and that it was us getting food stamps that opened up the case, but they don't know we married. I said, okay, then call them and tell them they got a 105. The lady tells me they don't interact between officers. She sent you a paper to open the case, but y'all don't talk. You can't call them. You can't send an email. That's how you got your stuff. These are the political little bull games that got me 18,000 in the hole, saying that my son, my kids that I raised every day of their life, I owe the state for. I'm 18 in the hole, so when I try to buy a house, I can't get nothing. But, I'm supposed to accept this. I'm supposed to be happy about it. I'm supposed to, just play the game. Well, everybody getting,
Time out.
ain't no time.
Yes, it
Time
is.
out.
You said.
I don't want no time. All this going on, Mama.
What I'm saying, you've already said what you had to get out. And I heard you. Okay? I heard you. I agree with you. I've heard you. This is not what you need to get out.
Yes, it is.
No, not to them.
See, that's my problem, Ma. That's where I will never be just the shield.
Okay. The reason why is I want you to have enough space on the camera. That's what I'm saying.
That's why that's the smartest woman I know. I started this letter on October 19, 2009, 6:40 p.m. I sent the packet to Mr. Eric Holder and also one to Mr. Aletha Brown. Eric Holder is the Attorney General. Aletha Brown is the Inspector General of the EEOC. And it's regarding OIG Control Number 208-2882, EEOC Charge Number 494. 2008-00785C. And I wish to also say that right there is evidence of criminal negligence, fraud, theft, and manipulation of evidence. I wish to add that part of my stuff. It starts out, Mr. Holder and Ms. Brown. I apologize sending this to you so many. I apologize to sending this to so many prior to any dealings with you, sir, and dealing with Ms. Brown's office again. However, every time I've had dealings with my state government offices, reprisals have continuously come about. I would rather this time that all the evidence is taken into accord. and the truth is seen by someone who doesn't have a vested interest in my failure of justice. And this week alone, I've had 2 instances of institutionalized corruption attacking my family. First, I catch my bank, Bank of America, stealing $105 out of my account by manufacturing fraudulent overages. Then on Friday, I am told that right after my wife gives the clerk her check to deposit, that she can't get any money back out because of hold put on out of my stuff for their maximum of 2 years. Even though I showed them recorded evidence, pictures of a crossing without any warning sign, and notice the driver admitted person watching back was out of place. They wouldn't do anything. I did win my money back from the IRS. They then went after my wife and stole $3,000. Saying she didn't fill out her claim right. Even with the change they said was a mistake, she had zero difference in how much her return was. And after that, because I complained about the harassment of the police, of myself and other workers at the club I worked at, the corrupt police department allowed someone to shoot me while working and then refused to follow up. They were undercover cops in the building as the person shot at me at least 8 times around the club. Of course, everybody knows this because they clammed up. Anyway, since my dealing with the Nashville EOC and going to Miss Brown's office, I have been stopped by the police 5 times, 2 times right after your letter on the 15th of September to check my license and registrations, and 3 from the 3rd through the 6th of January. My tags had went out on the 31st of December. While I must admit I have been stopped over 200 times in my short life, 75 of which were for you fit the description or suspicious activity in the neighborhood. I have no felonies and only 2 speeding tickets. Well, 3 now. Now I've been followed home at least twice a week since moving up here. Although not stopped, I am truly tired of living under siege. I'm either going to have to pawn something or borrow some money just to send you this package. I am not a lawyer, nor am I a writer. I would say that this is my one Achilles heel. My mind has too many thoughts trying to process at one time, most times to sit and try to put it on paper. Mainly because I can't type. Well, not exactly true. I am getting kind of better. So please bear with me if I get too descriptive. I'm just trying to get the truth out. I want my life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness unfettered by a hypocritical part of my society with too much power due to corruption, fear-mongering, and I know that's a little way out there for most of you to think on, and all of you have made your own way in your own form or fashion. I've never thought of my life's legacy as defined as how much money I have made or how much power I control. I guess I've always thought of my life in more of an honor and respect type of outlook on life. I honor my family and my ancestors by trying to be a righteous and fair man. My kids, by showing them how to carry themselves as gentlemen, leading them to a better, safer world, because they saw me treat people with respect, they will do the same. And how to do, and bow to no man or think that anyone is better than them, that they have the potential to be. So I'm only as great as they think I am. I protect my family, and I provide for my family. I have quite the legacy to uphold also. I mean, my mother is or has been a chemist, union steward, IRS agent, and environmentalist. Between my uncles and aunts, my 3, it's a bunch of stuff I went into because basically they always try to make you, well, they say I don't know how to carry myself. You don't know how to speak. You don't know how to speak. They make insinuations that I'm uncontrolled. Mom, anything, and it's first thing they say is they believe. It's belief. You're violent because you frown. You better watch when I cry. You better watch when I'm smiling. If I'm frowning, I'm thinking. If I'm smiling, it's either because I'm laughing or I've got some evil intent towards your ass. Anyway, I don't want to go into my family stuff, but I will say I personally have been certified as a restaurant manager, inventory specialist, mortgage loan processor, an electrician, certified armed and unarmed security guard, and capable at carpentry and plumbing work. My last major job was as the head of maintenance in a hotel. I have dreams of still getting some of my inventions, my theories, patented and helping build my family's business, Goodwin and Associates, into a viable legacy left for my kids and my cousins and their kids so that we can better our descendants' choices, live the American dream sort of type thing. I've been going to these rallies sponsored by the Republican Teabagger Party. I've been fighting for so long to get justice. I want to hear how those that have been allowing and owning the business that do so much evil to my community and to my family were complaining about. I want to know what y'all talking about. And I keep hearing two main points being drifted by these people as their rationale for the policies and ways of treating and thinking of other Americans. One is the poor and black folks choose to be poor by waiting for handouts and not wanting to hand up. Although I don't understand what they mean about that, because they say them teabaggers were also saying that the exact words were the government was geared towards a black man, for the black folks, to help us out. And I kept asking folks, and I was like, if that's how you feel, why is it our neighborhoods got to be the poorest? I mean, all the jobs around our houses, the McDonald's and everything, where you make most of your money, are the cheapest paid people. They use words like comparative wages, where they say, and this is the reason they're able to do it, they say that you can't get somebody to work at a fast food out in the richer neighborhoods for the same price as you can get somebody in the poor neighborhoods. That's it. And then and it's so corrupt right now that it's almost broken down it's broken down by your zip code. This part of Gallatin is minimum wage. Down the street, okay, you pay them 50 cents more because they're closer to Gallatin, Tennessee. They make half the money you do in yours, but they make all their profit of it. Same company owns the same McDonald's. Yet our stuff look like garbage because in order to pay somebody to clean up, because we're not nowhere near as dirty as the same stores be in the morning times out in other neighborhoods. We don't get those paid. That's where we get cut. That's where they make their profit. In our neighborhood, well, I say this, last job I worked at, it was okay for the workers, the people who make the money for the hotels, their entire payroll was 24% of the weekly gross. 24%. You got over 24, you start cutting in people's hours. And since this stuff done gone out, this teabagger, he cut his whole crew to less than 32 hours so that he wouldn't have to pay insurance on none of it. Whole crew, man. This is the stuff we got to deal with. These same people who up there talking about that Obama's trying to reach into their pocket, they reaching in ours every day. If that's what I was asking them, T-Bags. I was like, if you are for real about what you say is what you stand up for, then turn around and look at your state government. Y'all practice, these same people that you putting in office every year are doing the same thing to us. So if you have that right to protect yourself and your economy, don't I have the right to protect mine? And two, that if you allow, and the second point they kept saying that if you allow more government involvement, it will take over how you live your life. Both of these I come to believe are every bit a front and cover for spreading unpatriotic sentiment and trying to increase the tedious and unstable balance between cultures, an instability fostered and fanned by them, with an agenda that cannot be based on anything other than race. I think I am raising my kids to know no one race has the right nor continued privilege of being treated as greater than the whole. America is the greatest country in the world, therefore you are greatness. And to any who treats me as less, these people are nothing but potential traitors in our midst. I see congressional representatives in their names spreading anti-American agendas on foreign soil twice. I see war criminals getting out because of whom they are and bragging about it. Cheney still say he okay with waterboarding people. Okay? I also have seen these same people make every excuse to persecute anyone that doesn't look or act as they do, or denounce any that speak ill of them. I don't believe that just because your family raped my country and made big bucks, you are American. That just means you raped my country and owe her some money on the table. Or because your religion vilified all others to near submission that this is just your country. It just means you have lied, cheated, and stole better than the others. Because you can't say all the good things and forget how you kept it. You decimated my ancestors and took their land. You brought the majority of my forebears over to be your slave. And you alienated those of my genealogy that had the balls to marry their native or black wife, husband in a time when it was more prudent to be, by your standard, to just rape them. Yeah, I got white folks in my family. I got love for them and I got respect for them too. But they at least married they folks. These people are our domestic terror threat, simply because they will try to profit from anything that we allow to happen, whether financially or politically. They are an eyesore, a cancer on our society, a throwback to things done wrong. In addition, if that regime takes over again, because of your weakness in leadership and lack of spine, then I, for one, will know that the true American dream is broken. And I guess I will take my Republican overlords' advice and liberty tree and all that. Nevertheless, for right now, I still believe my country is trying to do the right thing. Moreover, I, along with other 60% who put you in office, will support you until you show that you are not worthy. Vice President Joe Biden, though, sold me on the Obama ticket after seeing him on the Meet the Press the first time. I voted for McCain. I actually voted for McCain in 2000 because he seemed like the right ticket, because he was talking about helping human rights in 2000. But in 2008, Joe Biden got on there and he showed what true leadership skills when he went on Meet the Press and counted that Tom Brokaw, hypocrite, and he sold me on the ticket. You know, Obama still, he's proven that he got some guts to me, and he's proven that he knows how to fight the right fight. I just hope he can finish it out. I am trying to bring about criminal charges and civil charges against my state government, Tennessee, and city's government in Memphis and Nashville, namely the District Attorney's Office in Memphis, the Juvenile Court and Child Support Services here in Nashville and also in Memphis, Civil Court Judge, Judge Lanier, and the criminal courts, both of them, the EEOC, the Better Business Bureau, Nashville Metro Human Relations Commission, Memphis Light, Gas, and Water Utility Company, Memphis and Nashville Police Departments, also the counties of Shelby and Davidson County, for criminal negligence, conspiracy to commit fraud, blackmail, extortion, perjury, and other things to be named, other charges to be named later. Once I talked to an attorney who actually talked to me, because the list that the NAACP gave me wouldn't talk to me for less than 10 grand. First, As 10/16/09, my accounts with Bank of America was being held up in a garnishment from CAC, Credit Acceptance Corporations Incorporated, saying that I owe $7,000 for a car I described earlier. To addition to those facts, CAC is the company that stole and repossessed the car from my home after legal proceedings had already been delayed by them. We had already started court proceedings, and the week before we go to court, they steal the car from me. This is after I done already proven, or at least shown my court system that A, they did not take the car through inspection, and B, that when they did take it through inspection, they got it to pass inspection with a crack in the window. Same faults. C, the only reason my car didn't, when I gave that my car to CAC, they not only messed up my engine, but I had a mechanic give a notarized letter to the court system saying that it was because of the work they did. They took said car to the auction, put a hold on it, and paid off my government $400 to resell at the same business partner, Tennessee Auto Sales dealership, at a high sale price. This is because I had to get the heads rebuilt due to faulty work done by TAS. No one else in the possession of the car except CAC Incorporated and my government, both who profited from this illegality. All a part of a public record. My government not only failed me, but also profited on both ends. Now both are being allowed by my bank, which will also profit through more made-up charges to pillage my family's finances. Charge number 2 against the EEOC. Charge number 494-2008-00785C. 95. I start this off talking about the EEOC to say that 95% of the people who go to the EEOC or their human resources for the help here in Tennessee are terminated within 3 months of their accusation. 99% of those people terminated who come to them for aid will not get their job back. Ms. Brown, on 9/15/08, your office wrote me a letter saying that it only investigates fraud, waste, abuse, and you also stated that you reviewed all the correspondence and made a query into EEOC's integrated management system. What is a query by your definition? What considers fraud or abuse? Mr. Holder, I ask the same from you because I see many. Let me reflect. Number 1, Vista Host and their human resources changed their story 3 times about why I was terminated. Lied about Denzel's record of people putting in complaints of harassment and racism. The EEOC found that he did try to make me cover up a health code infraction that he did instead himself. In addition, you have picture evidence of my entire timeline. I took pictures of everything from the moment that day started to the day ending, because everywhere I went, he had an infraction. Everywhere he told me to work, he had an infraction trying to trip me up, because if I didn't catch him, then he'd say that I wasn't doing my job. But when I catch him, I get terminated, which corresponds with everything I stated and shows holes in theirs from the truth omission. It was also found out he was an ex-cop who was released of duty for abuse of power. This aspect of him shall become more apparent as you look as how he conducts business. I was terminated from Hampton Inn because I asked my chief engineer if he had checked the boiler room. I said, "You just not going to check the boiler." And I laughed when he verbally accosted me on the radio. Never before had anyone ever heard me say anything rude over the radio, and nobody in the testimonies had either. I don't talk to people in disrespect. I'm going to come to you with respect because that's what I demand in return. But that's just, what the EEOC would prefer to believe. They spent time building the case against me with the Vista Host. And each time they couldn't prove it. Anyway, allow me to continue. Kevin witnesses me finding the Kevin witnesses me finding the boiler not done and saw me fill out one before we left. This is a form saying that the boiler room had been checked and then I'd marked down the time and temperature of me coming in there. I was not only witness it not being a paper there, but it was somebody witnessing me put one there, which your paperwork shows Denzel took mine out and put another one up just to say he had already checked it. It's all part of the record, but you wouldn't even, the EEOC wouldn't even talk to Kevin. Denzel, by his own words, said he had done the boiler. So why was I verbally abused? Why was there no paperwork? Why was I fired 2 hours later after following his instructions and finding another mistake on his part? Also, picture documentation goes along with that. Mistakes that led that by Denzel's own definitions were major infractions. Why was a person there less than a year held at a higher standard than the chief engineer? Number 3, the EEOC allowed VistaHost fraudulently to place multiple write-ups that I had never seen into my file to besmirch my credibility, saying I was violent, a poor worker, and that I was lazy, falsifying that I refused to sign some and leaving others blank. In addition, the EEOC accepted those as true even after evidence that I never, ever not signed anything I know is going to be a part of my permanent record. I'm going to put some on there, even if I disagree, which I have on many occasions. As the EEOC knows, because this ain't the first time I've dealt with them, and it ain't the first time I've brought up evidence that they ignored. But I digress. Through past dealings with the EEOC and the one write-up I did receive as a reprisal for going to Human Resources the week before. The EEOC even added some letters from after I was terminated, from Denzel accusing me of faulty workmanship and subterfuge. Overkill, crooked cop. The man wrote up that I had did sabotage work in which I tried to leave broken pipes in walls and something else he said. I ain't even paying no attention because I would get upset. And I laugh at ignorance, but I'm quite upset about this degradation. See? The EEOC abused its power by not only refusing to try to follow up any of the evidence I presented, but also hiding facts that they found to be true. That they found that I had seen a swastika brought to work by Denzel, yet explained how I could describe a flag, which was actually a pillow, to complete detail, by saying that I was listening at corners, and that's how I knew how the flag looked, because I was listening at corners I never saw. And that's more obvious than me saying that I know a flag that is actually a pillow. Another truth Denzel's overcompensating corruption told you is that Denzel and GM lied about Denzel having access to keys for the time clock, which I told them EEOC Denzel was tampering with. The key to the safety boxes Denzel lied and said his swastika was in is also the same key ring that the key to the time clock is on. The EEOC never checked the punch list, which told them I was accomplished bi-weekly in color code and signed, which would have definitely put a lie to them saying I'm a lazy or a poor worker. They, the EEOC and HR, never checked nor called any of my accolades left by Diamond and Platinum members on their review cards, because I came in second in our yearly review in my little short time there, tied with Denzel. But, you know, I have no customer skill. I do not know how to speak to people. I'm just a rude, uncouth ingrate. That's how they would describe me. That's more believable than some. How do the Human Resources and EEOC explain how even after being told I had to wait another month to be terminated for my 3-month evaluation and raise, that I got all pass or exceed expectations in my evaluation, receiving my full 50-cent raise? Yay. Not This was all being told I have to be a good yes man in order to succeed. And still, 4 months after all this happened, I'm still there. Obviously, I was doing something, so he just couldn't take it. Neither the EEOC nor the Human Resource Office ever talked to GM or Guest House about call from Denzel harassing my wife. We only had one male in management on the afternoon, Denzel Johnson. Harassment charges, complaint just given to the Human Resources, then both covered up. How you doing? My name is Oronde, and if you're a part of a member of my government watching this, and one of the people I'm sending this to, then I would like to sincerely thank you for passing that bit of legislation. And it is with utmost gratitude that I say that, because it all of my life you've done nothing but allow predators to prey on my life, and made it easier and easier for them to do that. And so thank you, because just dealing with the stuff I've had to deal with out here as a native of Tennessee, it is a blessing not to have to worry about my kids having to suffer because of the fights we have on our hands still. With that being said, this is a letter I wrote to, all of my government, and be that state and federal, and sent out back in October, trying to get some help with some problems that I'm having in my life. And since no one ever said anything to me, be it newspapers, judicial, or anyone I've ever sent it to, I've heard nothing. I've seen evidence that my words have reached certain ears, but I haven't heard anything. So it might be because it was a letter, and you know how our government don't like to read, our representatives and senators don't like to read. So I'm hoping that maybe if I put it in video, it will be heard. And since I'm putting it out there for all to see, then c'est la vie. You know, people say what they want to say. I will stand by me being a good man. Can they do the same? Anyway, people I sent this to in the beginning, well, before I say that, let me say that I tried to do this once before in a family meeting, and it was the first time my children had ever seen their father cry, and it kind of unnerved them, so I didn't feel comfortable continuing this in their presence, because all these problems that I speak on right now are still ongoing, and I'm still seeking aid. So I shall break them. Anyway, I started this on October 19th, 2009, 6:40 p.m. I sent a packet along with a bunch of evidence to Eric Holder's office, and I also sent this to Aletha Brown, Inspector General of the EEOC. I sent an email in the beginning to Ms. Rachel Maddow, Keith Oberlin, Bill Maher, Mr. Jay Heidelberg, and also Michael Moore. I also sent it to Rush Limbaugh, Glenn Beck, Susan Van Stern, whatever her name is. And no one, I guess, read or thought that it was important enough to give me any feedback. So I'm gonna ask you what you think. You listen to my words. Dear Mr. Holder and Ms. Brown, I apologize for sending this to so many prior to any dealings with your office, sir, and dealing with Ms. Brown's office again. However, every time I've had dealings with any state government office, reprisals have continuously come about. I would rather this time that all evidence is taken into court and the truth is seen by someone who doesn't have a vested interest in my failure at justice. In this week alone, I've had 2 instances of institutionalized corruption attacking my family. First, I catch my Bank of America, stealing $105 out of my account by manufacturing fraudulent charges. Then on Friday, I am told right after my wife gives the clerk her check that she is unable to get any money out of her account. This is because of a hold put on our account. I had a garnishment go through my court system without any kind of notice of lawsuit or proceedings. This stems from a lawsuit I had with Tennessee Auto Sales, who sold me a car with falsified paperwork and paid someone in the DMV to pass it with a broken windshield. All I just stated are part of court evidence. Yet my corrupt judicial system declined to investigate, and I was forced to drop the case because I couldn't subpoena all who gave evidence and the judge said he would throw out all my evidence if I could proceed. I've also been audited by the IRS after being hit by an Illinois Central train, after complaining that the train company told me that if I hired an attorney, they would hold off any help in replacing the car they hit in their negligence for the entire 2-year duration that they have to fight. Even though I showed them recorded evidence, pictures of a crossing without any warning, and knowledge that the driver admitted the person watching the back of the train was out of place, they wouldn't do anything. I took this to my DA's office. I did win back my money from the IRS. They then stole over $3,000 from my wife, saying that she didn't fill out her claim right. Even with the change they said she needed, her numbers didn't change, not 1 cent. And because I complained about the harassment of the police, of myself and other workers at a club I worked at, the corrupt police department allowed someone to shoot me while working and then refused to follow up. There were undercover cops in the building as the person shot at me at least 8 times. Since my dealings with the Nashville EEOC and going to Ms. Brown's office, I have been stopped by the police 5 times. 2 times right after your letter on the 15th of September to check my license and registration, and 3 from the 3rd through the 6th of January. My taxi went out on the 31st of December. While I must admit I've been stopped over 200 times in my short life, 75 of which were for, you fit the description, or suspicious activity in the neighborhood. I've had no felonies and only 2 speeding tickets. Well, 3 now. I don't even want to talk about it. Now I'm followed home at least twice a week. Although not stopped, I am truly tired of living under siege. I'm either going to have to pawn something or borrow some money just to send you this package. I was talking to Eric Holt at that time. I am not a lawyer, nor am I a writer. I would say that is my one Achilles heel. My mind has too many thoughts trying to process at one time, most times, to sit and try to put it on paper. Mainly because I can't type. I'm getting better though. So please bear with me if I get too descriptive. I'm just trying to get the truth out. I want my life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness unfettered by a hypocritical part of my society with too much power due to corruption, fear-mongering, and now that's a little out of the way for most of you to think on, and all of you who I'm writing have already made your way, but I still have to suffer through it. I've never thought of my life's legacy as being defined as how much money I made, how much power I control. I guess I have always thought of life in more of an honor and respect type of outlook on life. I honor my family and ancestors by trying to be a righteous and fair man. My kids by showing them how to carry themselves as gentlemen, leaving them a better, safer world because they saw me treat people with respect. They would do the same. and bow to no man or think any man is greater than they have the potential to be. So I am only as great as they think I am. I protect my family and I provide for my family. I have quite the legacy to uphold. I mean, my mother is or has been a chemist, a union steward, IRS agent, and an environmentalist. Between my uncles and aunts, I have 3 small business owners, a realtor, a realty broker, a home improvement specialist, a certified RN, a psychologist, a doctor, and a surgeon. Not to mention a stepfather who has, or was rather, the premier bouncer, security enforcer, private security in Memphis for almost 30 years. And he had been a weightlifting trainer and met nearly every personality that ever came through Memphis. Everybody know Big Von. And that's just my family. I personally have been certified as a restaurant manager, inventory specialist, mortgage loan processor, and an 5th-year electrician, certified armed and unarmed security guard, and capable at carpentry and plumbing work. My last major job was working as the head of maintenance, chief engineer, some say, of the hotel. I have dreams of still getting some of my inventions and my theories patented and helping build my family's business, Goodwin and Associates, into a viable legacy left for my kids and my cousins and their kids so that we can better our descendants' choices, live the American dream. I have been going to these rallies sponsored by the Republican and the Teabagger Party. I have been fighting for so long to get justice. I wanted to hear how those that have been allowing and owning the business that do so much evil in my community and my family were complaining about. These people are so vile in their actions that even when reported on by reporters, they have the TV reporters and writers leave out names of politicians that they're like Dan Tarkanian or the state and city council members who are in attendance with no cameras. That's not backroom though. That's typical. And I keep hearing 2 main points being drifted by these people as their rationale for their policies and ways of treating and thinking of other Americans. One is the poor people choose to be poor by waiting for handouts and not wanting a hand up. Never mind you play with our economy. And 2, that if you allow my government involvement, if you allow more government involvement, it will take over how you live your life. Both of these I have come to believe are every bit a front and a cover for spreading unpatriotic sentiment and trying to increase the tedious and unstable balance between cultures here in America. Instability fostered and fanned by them, with an agenda that cannot be based on anything other than race. I think I am raising my kids to know no one race has the right nor continued privilege of being treated as greater than the whole. America is the greatest country in the world, therefore they are greatness. And to any who treats them as less, I'm never like giving threats, so I'm practicing. These people are nothing but potential traitors in our midst. I see congressional representatives in their names spreading anti-American agendas on foreign soil twice. I've seen war criminals getting out because of whom they are and bragging about it. Cheney. I also have seen these people make every excuse to persecute any that doesn't look or act as they, and denounce any that speak ill of them. Can't say nothing else worse about me, so I truly don't care what you think. I don't believe that because your family raped my country and made big bucks, you are greater American. That just means you raped my country and owe her some money on the table. Or because your religion vilified all others to near submission that this is just your country. It just means you have lied, cheated, and stole better than the rest of them. Because you can't say all the good things and forget how you kept it. You decimated my ancestors and took their land. You brought the majority of my forebears over to be your slave. And you alienated those of my genealogy that had the balls to marry their native or black husband or wife. in a time when it was more prudent by these people to just rape them. These people are our true domestic terror threat simply because they will try to profit from anything that will allow to happen, whether anything that we allow to happen, whether that be financially or politically. They are an eyesore, a cancer on our society. A throwback to things done wrong. In addition, if that regime takes over again because of your weakness and leadership and lack of spine, I will have to honestly cross that part out, sir. You've proven that you can do, you know how to fight the fight in the correct way. I'm talking to you, Mr. President, because I'm gonna send this to you too. But well, you can't fault me for having doubts. I mean, they played every kind of game they could, and do not worry about these Republicans and these Democratic traitors who it's funny they have shown who the 178 senators and the 32 Democratic senators who showed that their loyalty was not to the American people, but to the propaganda machine based on these bigots, these separatists, and their corporate flunkies. That's how I feel about that. And thank you for showing that you're at least going to stand up for us. But I digress. Then I, for one, will know that the true American dream is broken, and I guess I will take my Republican overlords' advice and Liberty Tree and all that. I have no fear of them. Matter of fact, you should fear my death. Nevertheless, for right now, I still believe, and more rightly so now than when I wrote this, that my country is trying to do right. Moreover, I, along with the 60% who put you in office, will support you until you show that you are not worthy. Vice President Biden, truthfully, sold me on the Obama ticket after seeing him on Meet the Press. I had voted for McCain in the 2000 primary, and had he still stood for the same ideals and not picked an idiot secessionist as a running mate, I was leaning towards him. Thank goodness for Joe. I write this because I am trying to bring about criminal charges and civil charges against my state government, Tennessee, and city governments of Memphis and Nashville, namely the District Attorney's Office, Juvenile Court, Child Support Services here in Nashville and in Memphis, Civil Court Judge Lanier, and the criminal courts of both Nashville and Memphis. The EEOC, the Better Business Bureau, Nashville Metro Human Relations Commission, Memphis Light Gas and Water Utility Company, and both the Memphis and Nashville Police Departments. Also the counties of Shelby and Davidson. For criminal negligence, conspiracy to commit fraud, blackmail, extortion, perjury, and other charges to be named later. And this is a count of my evidence and that can be brought. First, as of 10/16/09, my accounts with Bank of America is being held up in a garnishment from CAC, Credit Acceptance Corp. Incorporated. Is the company saying that I owe $7,000 for a car described earlier. In addition to those facts, Credit Acceptance Corp. Incorporated is the company that stole or repossessed the car from my home after legal proceedings had already been delayed by them. I had already started going to court because of these folks. They then took said car to the auction, put a hold on it, then paid off my government $500 to resell it to the same business partner who sold me this car, Tennessee Auto Sales, a dealership at a higher sales at a higher sale price. They were able to sell the car for a higher price because after they did, Tennessee Auto Sales did work on my car. The day after I get out of the shop, my heads blow. I get the heads redone, and they steal the car. Then they charge more for the car, financed back again through CAC. No one else was in possession of the car except Credit Acceptance Corp. Incorporated and my government, both who profited from this illegality. All a part of public record, by the way. My government not only failed me, but also profited on both ends. Now both are being allowed by my bank, which will also profit through more made-up charges to pillage my family's finances. Second, the EEOC, this is regarding charge number 494-2008-00785C. And I would just first like to say 95% of the people who go to either the EEOC or the Human Resources here in Tennessee for help here in Tennessee for anything other than lost wages are terminated within 3 months. 99% of the people terminated who come to them for aid will not get their job back. Ms. Brown, on 9/15/08, your office wrote me a letter saying that it only investigates fraud, waste, and abuse. You also stated you reviewed all the correspondence and made a query into EEOC's integrated management system. What is a query by your definition? What constitutes fraud or abuse? Mr. Holder, I ask this of you also, because I see many, and I'm gonna let you and let us reflect. First mistake thing I saw, Vista Host and their human resources changed their story 3 times about why I was terminated. Lied about Denzel Johnson's record of people putting him in complaints of harassment with the human resources about racism, and the EEOC found that he did try to make me cover up a health code infraction that he did himself. That he after I refused to cover it up, he went ahead and did it while I'm walking the inspector around. In addition, you have picture evidence of my entire timeline of my day I was terminated, which corresponds with everything I stated and shows holes in theirs from the truth omission. It was also found out he was an ex-cop who was released of duty for abuse of power. This aspect of him shall become more apparent as you look at how he conducts business. Second mistake. I was terminated from Hampton Inn because I asked my chief engineer if he had checked the boiler room. I said, "You're just not gonna check the boiler." And laughed when he verbally accosted me on the radio. That's why I was terminated, because I said, "You just not gonna check the boiler." Never before had anyone heard me say anything rude over the radio, and nobody in their testimonies had either. They said I was too smart to say it over the radio. Then I didn't do anything wrong. Why was there no paperwork? Why was I fired 2 hours later after following his instructions and finding another mistake he had made? This again I took a picture of. Also picture documented. Mistakes that by Denzel's own definitions were major infractions. You know, all the stuff you said proved that I was a bad employee. It was stuff he was doing. And yet never mind. Why was a person there for less than a year held at a higher standard by management? And it wasn't really, because my general manager knew I did good work. She used to follow behind him, following me, see what I was doing, and get him and reprimand him. That's not part of public record because, but I digress. Now, third, the EEOC allowed Vista Host to fraudulently place multiple write-ups that I had never seen into my file, simply to besmirk my credibility, saying I was a violent, poor worker and that I was lazy, falsifying that I refused to sign some and leaving others blank. In addition, the EEOC accepted those as true even after evidence that I never not signed anything. Even if I'm not in agreement, I'm going to sign saying I'm not in agreement. They know this because, well, I've had dealings with the EEOC before that. and came up with the same no help from him. But I digress. Again. And the one write-up I did receive was a reprisal for going to Human Resources the week before. The EEOC even added some letters from after I was terminated from Denzel, accusing me of faulty workmanship and subterfuge, overkill, crooked cop. I would laugh at that ignorance, but I'm quite upset about this degradation. Fourth mistake I saw. The EEOC abused its power by not only refusing to try to follow up any of the evidence I presented, but also hiding facts that they found to be true. They found that I had seen a swastika brought to work by Denzel, yet explained how I could describe a flag, which was actually a pillow, with all kind of fancy designs from a high-ranking Nazi official, was by listening next doors, is what they said, the reason why how they explained it away. Another truth Denzel's overcompensating corruption told you is that Denzel and GM lied about Denzel having access to keys for the time clock, which he put up 3 minutes fast just so that when I walk in 1 minute fast, it would be 1 minute late, it will be a write-up, a major infraction. However, if you came into the place, you could not come into the building before 10 minutes or he'd have you stand outside. Something he had me do many occasions after when I got there more than 15 minutes early. Denzel, the key to the safety box, which Denzel lied and said his swastika was in, is also the same key ring that the key to the time clock was on. The EEOC never checked the punch list, which told that I was what was accomplished bi-weekly and color coded and signed, which would have definitely put a lot to them saying that I am a lazy or poor worker. A punch list. We had to sign on everything we did. Never checked. The EEOC and the Human Resources never checked nor called any of the many accolades left by Diamond and Platinum members on review cards. I tied with Denzel in a contest we had for second in our division. I only been there a year, less than a year, excuse me. How do the Human Resources and EEOC explain how even after being told I had to wait another month or be terminated for my 3-month evaluation and raise, that I got all pass or exceed expectations on my evaluation? The same thing I would have got before, except for I had 3 1-minute lates, and Denzel told me I either had to take a quarter or get terminated. The GM came and sanctioned him for that, told him since it was a discrepancy, wait another month, and and then she would herself personally give me a review. I did not fail not one thing, got 2 exceptions. Receiving my full 50 cents raise. Yay! Not. This was after being told I had to be a good yes man just to succeed. And I still was there 3 months after surviving Denzel's onslaught, until he attacked my wife. Neither the EEOC nor the Human Resources ever talked to the GM at Guest House about the call from Denzel harassing my wife. We had only one male in management on duty that afternoon, and that was Denzel Johnson. Harassment charge, complaint first given to the Human HR, they both covered this fact up. Neither would ask, nor would they talk to the policeman who escorted me out the building on threat that I might be a violent character. Police were not asked anything also. I know this because after seeing me run across the street daily, never quitting trying harder, the GM of Guest House offered me a job, and after 6 months, I was hired as his head. I was his head of maintenance, recommended by both my predecessor, the chief engineer before me, and the GM to ownership. I had never strictly been into maintenance before Denzel, but I am like a sponge with my ability to absorb information, process situations, and figure out solutions. In addition, I have at least 15 veterans and their families who can vouch for my customer relation skills and attitude toward rectifying problems when they occur around me. So I'll jump to help people who are not there. I'm that dude that carry the bags. But the EEOC did not even talk to Kevin, who was witness to first conversation on termination day and who was victim to more of a Denzel slice than any of us. Denzel routinely called Kevin stupid, slow, or dumb in front of all of us. Finally, 5. The EEOC purposely and with willful disregard wrote up my case and packed my case with so much illegal paperwork that I could not get a civil attorney to touch my case for less than $10,000. And the whole list that the NAACP gave, without at least $10,000 up front. I went to 6 different ones. Only 2 would see me in person. This was simply a very obvious attempt to cover up the facts and protect the corporate sponsors. I was then denounced by Vista Host, causing me to lose out on a job opportunity with Lowe's Hotel after 3 great interviews and a callback. The week I was supposed to get the job, they had complications once they called Vista Host. Also, even after finding that Denzel falsified pool inspections, EEOC never even reported it to the health department, covered it up. Ms. Corris and the others in her department need to be in jail. The only thing I will say about this so-called testimonies taken by EEOC is this. Those were taken in the office of Hampton Inn with their bosses, the EEOC representative, and Vista Host HR representative. I was denied access. Every one of them said the exact same phrasing around the same question. 8 people saying the exact Denzel is a hard man and Oronde didn't want to accept the Hampton way of doing things. What was it I didn't accept? Why? I wouldn't want to lose my job either if I was them, knowing the rules are rigged. If it was impartial, why was I denied access? In addition, I was told that they had a statement written out for them to rewrite by one of the witnesses when they came to me seeking employment. How is that neutral? They write out the statement for them to copy, and that's the truth for it. Evidence against the Better Business Bureau. These people always refer to the EEOC with complaint, but they never once write out complaints of caller complaints. They don't hold it, they don't keep it. Follow same basic structure of EEOC and help companies build up defense cases, never truly investigates complaints past what company tells them, unless you're a Republican going against anyone not of their ilk, of course. I think I've been up for a couple of hours, well, for about a day. I began this part on 10/20/09, 11 a.m. Nashville Metro Human Relations Commission, the office of Kevin Jones. This faux EEOC is nothing but a political scam. After the GM of Guest House Inn offered me a job, it was only after Vista Host had sabotaged my chance of getting to Lowe's Hotel that I accepted. I also knew that I was going into a situation 10 times worse than even the one Denzel Johnson had me in. The ownership managing group led by IGM leader Steve Robertson practiced a form of feudalism, sectarianism, based in racism that one only reads about in foreign lands. If not for the GM there, an excellent man, as the buffer between him and the crew, I believe the 300% yearly turnover rate would be tripled. I hate having to go there. I love the crew, love working for Mr. H, awesome man, but I knew even when I saw it. How do you prove a malignant Pharisee like Steve Robertson, who treats everyone and talks to everyone as if they are less than him? Well, I will give you my examples, and you, sir or madam, tell me if they are credible. When a white employee is asked to, let's say, work an extra shift or a personal job for Steve, and they refuse, nothing happens. If one of his black employees is asked, Prior to his refusal or acceptance, your job will be put at stake. And if you still refuse, at the very least, you will soon lose some hours the next week. That's just how you roll. Happens every week. Or when you cut hours across the board, Steve will make sure that his white employees made up the differences at his other jobs. You know, I got some hours here, or I need you to come in and take care of some paperwork there. But they're always only his white employees. Steve and his parasite, Cheryl Ayers, owner of Blue Shoe Nashville, and sales manager for Guest House Inn, are a dichotomy of individualistic stances. He is a teabagger, and the other one is a liberal, but both consider themselves our aristocracy. Cheryl was, while supposedly our sales manager, spent more time degrading workers, ruining their work, and causing the loss of employment for hotel staff than she did trying to gain clientele. The job she is paid out the hotel budget to do, yet only answerable to Steve Robinson. She routinely undermines the GM's authority. I don't care if y'all sue me, it's true. All black employees who have ever defended themselves from her are terminated because of her. Miss Ayers would sit in front of crew booking large parties for other hotel clients while on guest house clock. She got her own reservation company, so she reserving for Marriott and everywhere while we sitting at 60% occupancy. But if you said anything, Steve calling, and the next week, your hours cut, or you getting sent home. This during some of our slowest months. Like I said, she even hired an assistant under Blue Shoe and put her on a guest house payroll, autonomous to all except her. The next week, the crew had to take a cut in hours in order to keep his numbers in line, because he had to have everybody working there under 24% pay. At least that's where he wanted. You get up to 26, then people's hours had to be cut. But I have a question. I have a question. Mr. Robinson, and you tell me is this a felony, keeps 2 sets of books. One he uses to schedule hours for employees, keeping their pay output between 24 and 28% gross weekly sales, while using the other to receive payments from contracts with the VA and other business with other hospitals, charging them for rooms whether used or not. This keeps his gross intake at over 85% occupancy weekly, even during this recession. So technically, he makes more by not bringing in more people to the hotel than by tending to his employees' needs. Because if he cuts hours, he's still getting paid for 80%, while it shows 60. So he only have to clean. See? He treats them as indentured servants. How can someone work for you for over 16 years and not be paid at least $11? How about 3 or 4 people? How can that be justified as legal or moral? Over 85% of his working poor have to be subsidized by our government, while his profit margin grows. And there's a significant difference between pay rates of his white and black employees. He has them all on 24/7 security cam, where he sits all day watching them, counting how long they are in rooms, how many times they go to the bathroom, calling to ask why were people talking to others or someone else. He used to follow me around every day, calling multiple times to ask GM what was I doing off cam, but couldn't even tell you which one of his white employees smoked or not. I was terminated for asking for my promised raise after taking over as head of maintenance, after being told that if I asked this after the month I was supposed to get paid, I asked him about it. He told me that if I asked again, I would be terminated. I was over 3 divisions. I was over van drivers, maintenance, and housemen, and yet was being told to accept $10,000 less than my predecessor was paid. Neither of my previous 2 predecessors, Bill Young or Mike Allen, both white, were asked to be as hands-on as I was told I had to be. Terminated the same day I asked to set up a meeting to talk about this with Steve. The exact same day I say I need to have a meeting about this, I'm terminated. I was running the department for over 10 months. Metro Human Relations Commission was contacted twice by employees while I was working there. Both times they called, told the name of the employee, took the no as the answer as the truth over the phone, never called back. Both had left me as witnesses. Neither time did they try and contact me. I will not leave their names due to definite reprisals, but MHRC should have record of who those people are. It's 10:21, 2 a.m. now. I just found out my checking accounts become unfrozen. It had been frozen since the beginning of this to now. I had charges for $100.11 taken out of my account for legal fees. This for that garnishment that I had no idea of. And a $12.99 charge for MPC in Louisville, Kentucky. I have no idea who this is. My bank just refers to him as CAC for says refer to CAC for answers. Credit Acceptance Corp. I found out today that the corrupt, immoral law company doing the dirt in front of my guests. I had been accused of stealing by a miscreant manager named King. I had a meeting the next day, which I recorded, and found out he had at least 11 others sequestered. I also found out Mr. King was trying to save his ass because of shortfalls in the money. I did not get my job back, but did get on tape my manager saying that they know I didn't steal any money. Several months later, getting a ride back from a grocery store from a friend, my 1-year-old son was in the back seat. We were sitting at a red light and a police drives right up to our bumper. As soon as we edged up onto the white line, he turned his lights on. We were told that we had just run the light. He didn't get a ticket, but I ended up going to jail. Once there, I was told that I had a warrant that had been sworn out on me by Isaac Hayes. Mr. King was the one who swore it out. I had to fire one public defender because he told me that all he could do was get me a deal and would not have my tape transcribed. The second public attorney, after transcribing, both produced me a non-prosecuted judgment and told me that 10 of the 11 other people got not guilty judgments because they had attorneys. And the one took the offer given by the previous public defender was the only person who got caught up, the one who fell for that, you better take this deal or you're going to go to jail forever. 1 month after a year, the prosecutor's office dropped the case and the judge would only give me a non-prosecution rendering. I asked and told him that without a not guilty, I could not get an attorney to take up my case for less than $2,500 down. I could not afford the $600 in the beginning it took to get the attorney in the beginning. The judge had told me just to be happy I wasn't going to jail. While working at the King of Clubs, Blacktail Shake John now, in Memphis, I was shot while working as a security guard. 6 months prior, I had complained of being followed every night home by the police, which resulted in an incident. I had also complained about officers coming into the club, propositioning dancers, setting them up in the club every week. This had started after the owner tried to open a club downtown. It was strictly a race-motivated agenda. The DA and the police department only attacked the owner's black clubs, leaving the owner's Republican hangouts alone. Nothing that happened at the King was nearly as wild as those days when I worked at those clubs where the Republicans hung out. This continued until the time I got shot, continuous harassment by the police. When the woman would say no, they would take the money higher. If you run all the customers out, fill the table with men who won't take no for an answer, all of them undercover police, then wave $500 in her face, it's called survival. They would even get the girls drunk, then shake them down. That is what I witnessed them doing. The rest is part of police evidence about shooting and what I have already told you. I just need my medical bills paid. How do I force the owner to pay the workers' comp? Any other questions about this I can answer later. I have done a lot of things without attorneys. This is because they are proven to be unscrupulous, deceitful, and ambiguous in whom they work for one's commission. I have had an attorney disbarred while acting as my attorney for stealing settlements. The Tennessee Bar Association took over a year to send me the papers to get my evidence and never sent the pictures of my truck back. Not to mention, an insurance agency covering the company van of Mr. Barlow found a technicality to get out paying for the hit from the back in the end. All of this because our government protects our corporations. These crooks. The attorneys here in Tennessee will not actively obtain evidence, purposely making plaintiffs touch evidence and find all evidence so that it can be called questionable chain by defendant's attorney, which means you have to then spend $125 per subpoena. Attorneys quote prices that are only if you are going to take a deal. As soon as you say no, you are told you either have to pay more money or drop them as your attorney. The Navy say I will quit if you don't pay the extortion, but next you hear all the nightmare scenarios that can't be helped. My attorney, when I sued TAS the second time, couldn't get the prosecutor to look at my evidence for the DMV. Overwhelming evidence of fraud, falsified paperwork on car, corruption, a payoff to get car with a cracked windshield to pass inspection, but they couldn't help me unless I came up with $125 per subpoena. The same attorney less than a month later is on TV expounding on how some lady in a wreck was so maligned by some company. He gets a high-profile case for his compliance in the case. Never saw him on TV prior before he said he couldn't help me. It's 11:55 on 10/21 now. I have been accused and persecuted on a plethora of levels my whole life. Growing up in South Memphis, South Parkway, I got jumped weekly as an adolescent. I didn't talk like everybody else. I didn't dress like everybody else. I considered myself a misfit. I took my lumps. But every time I lost, it was one less person at the next session. My defense is formidable, and my offense could be confit. My offense is formidable, and my defense can be considered offensive to my character. By my team, those same people who had my back, and I can call most of them friends or at least an associate. While at the same time having to protect myself from teachers, Michael Steele disposition blacks in positions of power over me, and not to forget your bigoted Limbaughs and Uncle Ruckuses, all saying that in order for me to make it, I have to conform in my thinking, learn my place, assimilate more into society, accept less as a standard. And as the area manager at Taco Bell, a bald-headed black dude told me while offering me a job as a trainer, you need to learn how to kiss ass better. I was 20 years old. First job I ever walked off on. I took the knowledge I gained and became a shift manager at the next Taco Bell. When I hit the glass ceiling there, I went somewhere else and worked up to a salaried manager, and so on and so on. My point is, I retain and utilize knowledge. I have the competence to that information and apply it elsewhere. For every roadblock placed in front of me, my annual income has risen nearly every year since I became a father. I am sending you a copy of my resume. Maybe I can get a job. I would love to find America's money. I would shake every CEO and executive class with a higher than 200% turnover rate in America.